morning.
Good morning.
Quality. So, time is 4:10 in the morning. We've got these bad boys at Macalos Classics in Escondido, San Diego, and we are off to Rennsport Reunion 2018. The journey was simple. Drive 7 hours up the coast from Macalos workshops to the storied racetrack at Laguna Seca, playing host to the 6th edition of the greatest Porsche show on earth, Rennsport Reunion. We'd started early in an effort to beat the worst of the traffic through Los Angeles, with rush hour a perpetual process in the City of Angels. However, it wasn't enough. We still managed to get enveloped by the freeway's jams, prompting a series of detours which ultimately changed our overall route north. It meant we wouldn't see as much of Pacific Coast Highway as I'd have liked, but it mattered little. By 7:20 AM, we were free of LA and ready to immerse ourselves in this brilliant little 930, all while comparing some key differences between UK and US road laws. I can turn right, can't I?
I think you can. Yeah, you can turn right on
red.
You probably have the same thing, but it's the opposite side of the road, huh?
No, actually, we're not allowed. Like, red light means absolutely stop.
Really? You're not allowed to turn
No.
on red? Yeah, it's like a stop sign, is
Yeah.
when you're turning right.
And Matt, so how did Macalos start and how did you start the business? 2014, right?
2014, yeah, I just gotten out of college and was going to go do work for my dad. He had been collecting classic Porsches. I got home, he wanted me to start selling off his cars because they all started having issues because he doesn't drive them. They sit there. So I started selling them and he immediately started buying more, and I was like, okay, Dad, well, we got to figure something out here. And so it kind of just started blowing up from there.
You're clearly passionate about 911s, as you've told me before.
Yep.
Your knowledge of them is incredible as well. Isn't it weird that, because there's not a lot you don't seem to know about 911s, and a lot of them that like predate even your own existence on the planet, like, you know?
I get that a lot, yeah. I've definitely... I've been talking to some people and they're like, wait a second, you were born probably 30 years later.
Well, this is it. So when you were born, what was out there? The 993, I suppose.
When I was born, it was 91, so the 964.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't even really know about Porsches until probably after college. My dad started collecting when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I just really liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Time to find out about our chariot of choice, the 930 Turbo.
So this is a 1979 930 Turbo.
Yeah.
When we got it, I had to do some research on it to see exactly what was done to it, because we got it and we're like, my dad bought this car not even really knowing what it is. He bought it thinking that it was just a 50,000 mile turbo.
Yeah.
And we get it and we're like, this is definitely not stock. We got, which I was happy about, but it's got dual exhaust. Powerhouse dual exhaust. It's got K27 turbo, 911 SC camshafts that create a little more power. That was kind of the hot thing to do back in the day.
Yeah.
And then the piston and cylinder is still a 3 liter. So it's hot rodded a little bit up there. As far as aesthetics go, one of my favorite decals was always the turbo, just the wrap with the points in the front. I love it.
Yeah.
Very kind of 70s, 80s look,
Very
70s look. So I kind of took that and it was my favorite decal. So I was like, we definitely have to reproduce this and make it something of our own.
Yeah.
So we made we took our colors, really is what we did. Our Macalos is blue and orange. So we took the kind of light blue and made it go into the orange into the back. But I really liked how that turned out, but it still was like, it didn't fully make sense because it was just a blue and orange stripe on a black car.
Yeah.
I saw the wheels that Magnus had just came out with, the 1552s, that I loved right when I first saw them. They were just awesome. So we took those and had them painted to match the stripe, and then
which look awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I love them. And then Lee with 911 headlights. He repainted the rings in the same color to match the stripe, so it all came together.
Lights on 911s have always needed to be improved, especially the G series cars, because it's just like having a pair of candles up front, So this is your personal car, is it, or like?
No, it's a shop car.
Okay.
Recently, we've been using it for a bit of marketing, but it's just, I think we've started doing, we did the stripe, then we did the wheels, then the headlights, and now it's just like, okay, well, where does it stop?
The turbo was faultless. Its 4 long gears were built for cruising, the ride was comfortable, and the sound was awesome. But with only 3 hours sleep the night before, we began to flag after our early start, so we took a break at Santa Maria to refuel the car and ourselves. Just stopped for a quick coffee, so we're about halfway up. Jesus, California is so big, far bigger than the UK. So as Matt pointed out then, this is a 1979 930 turbo. It's the 3.3 litre, which means it's still single turbocharger, but comes with the intercooler, slightly wider wheels, and of course the T-tray rear wing instead of the whale tail that came with the 3 litre cars. The quirky thing about the 930 turbo is the 4-speed gearbox, without question. It takes a lot of getting used to. Whereas in most cars, the first ratio is just all about setting off. With this, you really use it because you have to be very careful with your gear selections in order to get the most from the car and keep the car on boost. If not, that famous turbo lag that this car is so well known for is very prevalent, and you're left wanting, particularly in comparison to a naturally aspirated car, with its razor sharp throttle response. So as I say, the 930 turbo is quirky. That's kind of what makes the turbo so special. And while some people don't like the 4-speed for that very reason, I kind of like it. It's an acquired taste in keeping that turbo spooled up. It sounds absolutely awesome. It sounds like it's sucking the entire atmosphere into the car. It's just what makes it, really. Although Roof put a 5-speed gearbox on a turbocharged Porsche many years before Porsche themselves, Porsche eventually put a 5-speed on a turbo car in 1989. And it definitely makes the car a lot more sophisticated. It's a lot more polished drive. But you know what? I like the 4-speed. It's plenty quirky. There's a real knack to driving the car fast. Just got to make sure you don't spool up at the wrong time, i.e. on corners. So long as you respect it, the Porsche 930 Turbo is a brilliant classic 911. For us, it was the perfect ally for our 420-mile trip north to Laguna Seca. Speaking of which, our trip threw up some unusual sights along PCH, but the nearer we got, the more Porsche we saw on the roads. It only added to our excitement. It was like we were all pilgrims descending on our own sort of Porsche Mecca. It was so bizarre, but so awesome. Finally though, in the heat of the midday sun, the journey was complete. We'd arrived at Rennsport Reunion. What a trip, and what a car.
Not sure what happened to Kevin Estes.
Goes without saying, a huge thanks to Matt Kenyon, owner at Michello's Classics, for lending us a 911 Turbo to drive up PCH. That's real bucket list stuff. Michello's are a really up and coming business in the Porsche world. They're very young, a bit like Matt himself, but they're learning so quickly. And I've genuinely been very impressed by the, particularly the restoration and modification process that those guys have undertaken. He's got a good set of staff behind them, very knowledgeable, very enthusiastic, so do keep a watch out for them.
So yeah, you get this turn, well, we can do it.
Yeah, I've definitely cut that guy up, that's fair enough.
Turn left onto